Welcome to Kingdom Builders Ministry, where we are taking the gospel of Jesus Christ to the marketplace. I am your host, Leonard Butler, and I thank you all for joining us. Our study is the end time currency. And in the end time currency, I want to share with you that all kingdoms have currencies. It doesn't matter where you go on this planet, every kingdom that you find will have currencies. America, our currency is the dollar. Canada, the loonie. Mexico, the peso. Europe has the euro. Russia has the ruble. China has the yen. All these places have currencies. But when it comes to the kingdom of heaven, and if you are a citizen of heaven, you must know this, that you too have currencies from heaven. Now think about it. All kingdoms have currency. So the question is, what is the currency of heaven? Notice how Jesus says it in Matthew chapter 6 and verse 24. He says, no man can serve two masters. No man can serve two masters. Each master in this context, he's referring to the world system and its currency, and he's referring to God's system and his currency. And his point is, if you serve the system of man, you're going to find yourself dealing with a system that will produce decay, that will produce lack, that will produce poverty. It is inevitable. The only way man can protect himself from flowing into poverty under the current system that he uses, according to his thinking, not God's ways, but his ways, is to create a wealth transfer. This wealth transfer that man uses is what I call a counterfeit transfer. This counterfeit transfer that he uses is a system that represents counterfeit. Counterfeit money, for one. What is counterfeit money? Counterfeit money is monopoly money, for one. And the question that I have for you, what is the difference between monopoly money and American money, or the euro, or the peso? They both are printed. The only thing that separates them is the seal that says Government of the United States, Government of Mexico, Government of Canada. So, being that that's the only thing, what's really peculiar about that is that for ages, with the exception of our current money system, mankind money was always connected to gold and silver, backed by gold and silver, gold certificates, silver certificates. That's how our country was. When the founding fathers wrote the Constitution, for what we are faced with today was their concern. Their concern was our nation getting to a point whereas they gave all rights to our money to the banking system, the banking cartel, the banksters. So the banks now are printing money, deflating the dollar, and what they're doing very subtly is creating a transfer. Here's an example of the transfer with the banking system and our U.S. government. Did you know that when a person dies, the goal is to leave an inheritance? And the scripture says, a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's and his children's children. That is Proverbs chapter 13 and 22. Proverbs chapter 13 and 22. That's the B clause of that verse. A good man leaves an inheritance to his children and his children's children. Now, the thing about this is when you leave that currency to your children, you leave your inheritance, you leave your corporation of wealth to them, Uncle Sam says, I'm going to bill you 51% of what you left your kids. Any corporation that gives up 51% of its value to someone that is not a part of it or someone that's a part of it, and it is not willing, that is known as a hostile takeover. That is also known as a transfer. Under that context, our government just transferred wealth from your children to their pockets. Wealth transfer, counterfeit transfer. In the A clause of Proverbs 13 and 22, it reads, a good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. That's the B clause, I apologize. The A clause is, the wealth of the wicked is laid up for the righteous. Now we're stepping into God's currency. He says the wealth of the wicked is laid up for the righteous. But just a moment before I get there, I'm leaving you hanging on purpose there.